Yes, sir. Back and live with you, full effect. People Quasi, what's going on? Yeah, I know it's been a minute. Okay, people, what is happening? Um, Applause to yourselves, applause to everyone. Hope you're all having a good weekend, and I'm having a great one. It's good to be back live with you guys. Had so many things that I've needed to talk to you guys about for the last couple weeks. So I apologize for the hiatus. I'm literally coming back off of just a crazy ass a bunch of just work weeks that have just been insane, both with the channel and just personally work wise. So I thank you guys for checking in tonight, and we're just gonna have a little bit of fun. So let me just say what's up to everybody. First of all, thank you for checking in. I know people are gonna tap in as we keep going through the night. I don't want to make this a long live, but I just want to make it more of a reconnection live with everybody tonight. A few things I want to mention, especially some stuff coming up on the channel that you guys should be interested in. Thank you all, of course, for the support. Cannot do this without you guys. We are getting close to 20,000 subscribers on the channel, and I know could never have made that possible without you guys. So hats off to y'all. Love y'all, man. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, props to yourself. Give yourself some love. All right, give yourself some love. We're giving you guys love. Give yourselves a pat on the back. I appreciate you all. All right. So I'm just gonna jump it off really quick, just talking about a few things relevant on the channel. A couple things. First of all, thanks for all the love. My Dragon Fest 2024 videos have been received very well. Been getting a lot of love on those. We recapped that event a couple weeks ago, went to it live. Of course, Mr. Michael Matsuda, President CEO, throws that every year out here in Glendale, California. So if you have not been to a Dragon Fest, I recommend you get to one. Okay. My quick recap. I'm going to let you guys see this for a second, and then we'll talk about it. So yeah, bottom line, went out to Dragon Fest again for my second year in a row. Got to talk to so many amazing people, including Grandmaster Cynthia Rothrock, including Don the Dragon Wilson, including even, well, of course, Sensei Cecil Peoples. Got to speak with Peter Kwan, who I never talked to before. He's the guy from Big Trouble in Little China, played one of the villains. So many people I got to talk to. That was a great just such a great event and a great time. I had a ball. Oh, also Thierry Cassell and this guy right here, the Viking Samurai. His name is David Kurzal, aka the Viking Samurai. He has a huge channel on YouTube. If you weren't aware, check it out if you haven't. He is actually going to fight Shane Mosley, Sugar Shane himself, next month. That's going to be something. I talked to him about that whole thing, how that fight happened, how it came about. You guys really want to check out the video. I've got a short that I just dropped today just about the fight alone. So check that out for nothing else. Check it out for the story about the fight. It's pretty interesting pretty interesting guy. He has like a background. He used to be I want to say a stockbroker or something like that. So he was in a completely different line of work. He did martial arts, and then he just decided to go ahead and leave his old life behind, start a YouTube channel, martial arts YouTube channel. Then he got into some stunt movie work, and now he's going on his second boxing match. So the first one he did bare knuckle boxing, I believe, the first time, or a celebrity match, and now this one's the second celebrity match, which he will do with an even bigger name, namely Sugar Shane Mosley. So that's pretty exciting. And I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. He's being trained by Master Don the Dragon Wilson, which is another highlight. So I got to talk to him. James Liu, who was on here, I also got to talk to him. He has a really interesting story about his fight with Jet Li on the rooftop for the movie Lethal Weapon 4, which was back in 1998. So 25 years ago, almost, something like that. So 27, 26, something years like that, that he's had. since he's had that fight, and really interesting story about that fight and how that they choreographed that fight and everything. But my main thing tonight, we want to talk specifically to all my old school Shaw Brother fans out there. If you are a Shaw Brother fan, everybody knows the name Gordon Liu, so I want to give Master Gordon Liu his props tonight. His birthday just passed, so I want to talk about the living legend. On the 22nd, which was only a couple days ago, the man turned 73, and he's not in the best of health these days, but I would be so remiss if I did not give love to Master Gordon Liu. One of the very first martial arts movies I saw when I was a kid was a Shaw Brother movie called 36 Chambers of Shaolin. Most people know it as that. It's also called Master Killer, for those that are aware of that title. Yes, feel free, give it some love, show it some love. Absolutely. Applaud that. Yeah, so that movie came out in 1978, and that's when I was first aware of Gordon Liu. That's the first movie I ever saw with him in it. A bunch of other Shaw Brothers movies, but tonight I want to give props to the man himself, give him some love, because that started off my kind of kung fu movie knowledge, let's say. First couple movies I ever saw were Shaw Brothers movies, even before I saw a Bruce Lee movie, and even before I saw The Last Dragon, which was really the movie that I credit as the movie that got me really interested in the martial arts. The Last Dragon, as a man of color, as a black man, seeing another black man on screen, namely Timac at the time, doing his thing in that movie. That's the real movie that got me initiated into the Chinese martial arts, I should say, that really, really entrenched me in, and really gave me the kind of nod to say in my mind, hey, I could do this too if I really wanted to. So all props to those movies, because those are special. But the Gordon Liu ones that started me off when I first would watch, those are the ones I look back and go, hey, these are the movies that really, really were special to me. So Master Killer, let's talk about it. 36 Chambers of Shaolin. This movie, 1978. And for those that are uninitiated, unaware, it's about a young student named Liu Yude. I had to look that up because I forgot his name in the beginning, because he eventually becomes Santee. But anyway, he's drawn by his activist teacher to the local rebellion against the Manchu government. The government officials, headed by the brutal General Chinta, however, quickly discover and suppress the uprising, liquidating the school and killing the students' friends and family members. Yude decides to seek vengeance and liberation for the people and heads for the Shaolin Temple to learn Kung Fu. He's wounded by the Manchu henchmen during an escape, and then he reaches the temple, seeks sanctuary. Initially, the monks reject him since he's an outsider, but the chief abbot has mercy on the young man and lets him stay. 1 year later, he's now known as Santee, and he brings his martial arts training to the temple, 35 chambers. In each temple novices are trained in one aspect of the Kung Fu art. So it's basically climbing the ladder, so to speak, right? If you've never seen this movie, geez, God help you if you've never seen this movie. Movie's such a huge iconographic movie, if I've even said that word right. So through each chamber, there's a specialty of Kung Fu. The training, for nothing else, most people know this movie for, but I mainly remember it for that very last fight when Santee, and he's credited as, he's a fictional character in the movie, but as there's a man that was credited for creating the 3-section staff, and this is that character. Okay, so he gets to fight with that staff at the very end to start his own chamber of Kung Fu, because he tells the abbots at the end, because at the end of his 1 year, by the way, 1 year is not a lot of time to master for anyone that has a high level belt in the martial arts. 1 year is not that long to master a martial art. For Kung Fu, for me, it took many, many years before I got a master certificate or a master acknowledgement, master belt, whatever you want to call it. I also trained in Krav Maga. Most people know that's taken 6+ years to get to a second degree. So to master all these martial arts in 1 year, and granted, it's fiction, that's a lot of achievement. That's a lot of dedication. Now, granted, the training out in China is so much different. And this is based in like old school China years and stuff. But still, when you're diligent like that and training for say like 12 hours a day, which I can attest to because having gone to China a few years back, seeing the way people actually immerse themselves in the training, it's possible to get this level of a fluency. But that being said, okay, we're talking back about the movie. Many things happen, but a lot of training goes on. I'll show you just a little bit of that training or some snippets of it, and maybe it'll entice you guys to check the actual movie out for yourself.
You have to stand there between the incense urns.
Sir.
The man who wants to fight, he must have perfect eyes. Now you watch the light. Watch the light now, and when it moves, your eyeballs must follow it round. But one thing you don't do, that is to let your head move at all.
So this is one of the chambers, and obviously this is talking about eye movement and eye focus. So this is obviously one of the chambers that Santi's character goes through, and each abbot has a specialty. So that Santi will come to. This one is very, very specific on eye focus and basically focus in general, as you can see.
Begin.
Now, it seems easy enough, and when I first saw this movie, I was like, "All right, not a big deal. I'm just moving my eyes one side, two side, one side, two side." But as you'll see, it starts getting more intense. And by the way, his head is between two big old things of incense. So it's like at first I was like, "Are those cigarettes?" It's like, no, it's incense, but big old poles that are burning at each end. So if he moves his head, he gets burned on each side. Exactly, because the more the monk moves, or the abbot moves, it's just the big candle from side to side. The more you're just inclined to actually move your head. So it's a focused it's a eye focused chamber, but the lesson learned is pretty intense in school.
Good. You have very sharp reflexes, and that can win a great many battles. But still, a sharp eye still.
Anyway, so you get it. So there's all the chambers, 35 of them, where Santi will train and do his different specialties. But then as he finally graduates, the main abbot asks him what he would like to teach or what he would like to do now that he's become a master. And he tells the abbot that he wants to create his own chamber. But to do that, before he's allowed to, he has to face the top monk at the school who's like a master of these butterfly knives, and he tries many different weapons to defeat the monk and can't do it until finally, well, you'll see, I won't spoil it. So let's talk about this one of these fights here. He uses the monkey spade at first. Well, let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, at first, I'll back this even up even more. One of the first times that he faces the main monk, is the top level monk, like guy is like the best one there, in fighting and weapons. He uses a staff, a regular staff.
进招！好，好，嘿，好，嘿，好，好，嘿，嘿，好，嘿，好，
And each time he's defeated, he has to go back. Oh, we'll get better, master. And he's allowed to come back each time with a new weapon to try to defeat this main monk. So every time he's defeated, he goes back and tries a new weapon.
谢戒律院主持，弟子输了。你随时都可以找我动手。好。
Then the monkey spade comes out. And each one he trains in the forest with it, trying to figure out, what its specialty is going to be, what its strength is, and how to defeat the head monk. And he's thinking to himself, okay, I'll use this part of the actual weapon to disarm the monk. And that's what he thinks is going to happen. And then reality, it's like fantasy versus reality, or this is what I think is going to happen, and then realistically, this is what happens. So he thinks in his mind, okay, I'm going to defeat him like this. Then they get to the actual fight, and it doesn't really go that way. There's more of the actual fight. I.e., what I think I look like fighting versus reality-wise, what's going on. So if we back that up there, that was the move that he thought was going to work and grab the monk's swords within the moon shape, with the moon shape curve of the weapon of the monk's face. So in his fantasy, remember that was he was gonna, I'm gonna disarm him right there, and not so much. And in this part, he's asking him, because I've seen this movie so many times, he's like, how many times did I touch you where it would have been lethal had I touched you? And he's saying, well, you about 4 or 5 times, something like that, 4 or 5 times. And he's like, okay, basically you lost. And of course, he tells the monks, "Oh, come back and do better." Yeah. And then finally, at the very end, okay, spoiler alert, but this movie is so old, you need to watch it for yourself. But it's such a great movie. If you come back and watch this, I think you will not be disappointed.
谢戒律。三哥用的什么武器？
So the very last fight, he finally discovers by accident a 3-section staff. He creates his own weapon, the 3-section staff, and fights the monks. So now he's fighting him, discovering the flexibility of the weapon. It's a multiple defend and strike weapon, which he's seeing the advantages more and more of using this one. And basically saying, "Oh, pretty good, right?"
继续。主持，你没事吧？三德，我的柳叶戒刀还在。
And there it is, his first victory. He actually disarms the monk, gets one sword from him. And then he gets two. So then he finally disarms him, and he actually finally has his big victory. Santi is victorious.
弟子无礼。
An amazing movie, guys. Master Killer, aka 36 Chambers of Shaolin. Go ahead and grab that if you've never seen it. By the way, when Dragon Dynasty released the Shaw Brothers movies, this was the very first one that they released. And I went back and I rechecked it. I remember that. And I was like, when I bought these all, I originally bought them all in DVD, and then they transferred them over to Blu-ray. And I remember the very first one, number one was this. Now they've got the whole Shaw Brothers collection. You can buy it in many different mediums, I believe. I don't know if it's available in 4K. Mm. Damn it, man. All right. So anyway, yeah. So there you have it. Master Killer, aka 36 Chambers of Shaolin. Really, really, really great movie. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and do yourself a favor and watch that. All right. Let's see here. I'm gonna have to pause this. Not sure. Yeah, looks like I gotta pause it. God bless, man. I just can't buy a break with this stuff. Let's see here. God damn it. F. I think we're back. Okay. I think we're back. All right. Never mind. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, guys. All right. I guess we're back here. Guess want to make sure. Sorry about that. I don't know where we left off. But again, happy birthday to Gordon Liu. 36 Chambers of Shaolin, one of my favorite movies. If you guys have not watched it, check that out. Make sure you're checking it out. Do watch it. Another great movie, though, that he did, 8 Diagram Pole Fighter. That one came out in 1984. This one, a really big deal because, yes, it's another Shaw Brothers movie, but also an amazing freaking fight movie, okay? You've got so many fights. And by the way, Gordon Liu, before even the Shaw Brothers movies, most people knew him from being Johnny Moe from the Kill Bill series. Let's just go here to see this part. Yes, the Johnny Moe fight. And this one with Uma Thurman, really, really good. Most people know Gordon Liu from this fight. So this is what started it off. And then, of course, later he was in Volume 2, he was Pai Mei. Most people know about Pai Mei. So in it, he plays Pai Mei, which of course most people know is the master that taught Uma Thurman's character Beatrix Kiddo in Kill Bill. Okay, so Master Liu portrayed Pai Mei in that and was really, really just hardcore master in it.
I am proficient in Tiger Crane.
你師父講過，你曾經學過武術，你學過啲乜嘢？
I am proficient in Tiger Crane style, and I am more than proficient in the exquisite art of the samurai sword.
一般見到，開咩玩笑？
It is kind of, it always was funny to me how she's speaking English and he speaks Mandarin back to her. I thought that was interesting when I first watched it. And then basically, obviously, he comes and challenges her to a match. And Uma Thurman's character comes thinking, okay, I've got the Chinese Gim, which is the Chinese straight sword, and going to face Pai Mei. And it doesn't go as well as she'd expect, or she tries. But basically, Pai Mei is just too good for her and just, kicks her butt. And there's just a whole lot that goes on with this fight, as you know. But anyway, Gordon Liu, a lot of people will know from the Kill Bill series, and that's great. If that's the first time you ever saw Gordon Liu, props to you for watching that movie, and then at least seeing him for the first time. But to me, the Shaw Brothers movies were where I was most impressed. And then that's when I first got, like I said before, was initiated to Gordon Liu. Second movie I was going to talk about really quickly, the 8-diagram pole fighter. This movie is a gem among gems, okay? There's a fight in here, this final fight, and I can't show you the whole thing. But I will give you like bits and pieces of it. This came out in 1984. This is such a spectacular fight. The final fight in this movie is like 8 minutes long. It's so good. And literally you see almost like all the Chinese weapons featured in this movie, in this final fight. The 8-diagram pole fighter basically is a story of, in this case, Gordon Liu portrays the character of Pun Mai, excuse me. And in it, he's got to basically, it's a revenge story, as and now let me just read it here. Okay, because as I kind of want to explain things to you, I find myself actually just wanting to break it down a little bit. But anyway, in the film itself is based on the generals of the Yang family. The generals of the Yang family. So it says, with the help from the treacherous Song dynasty, General Pun Mai ruled the Lao dynasty, and his army succeeded in trapping the loyal Song general Young Yip and his 7 sons of Golden Beach. Young Yip and his sons were all killed or captured in the ambush, except for the 5th son and the 6th son, who managed to escape. The 6th son returned home, but was severely traumatized by the events, resulting in tantrums and quarrels. Okay. Meanwhile, the 5th son sought refuge in the monastery in Mount Wutai, but the monastery leaders initially did not consider him calm enough to be a Buddhist monk. All right. As the blades were not allowed inside a monastery, he used his training of spears and to practice with a pole, eventually developing the unique 8-diagram pole fighting technique. When he finally appeared to have put his anger and past beside him, news broke that his rivals had captured his younger sister, and then he goes looking for them. Now he must break the Buddhist vows, which include not killing any living being and not being bothered by worldly affairs, to save his sister and his friends. So it's a huge, huge battle at the end, and one worth watching if you've never seen this movie before. Super highlights then some really amazing kung fu. It gets a little brutal, but not super super crazy. A little bit of blood here and there, and the old Shaw Brothers take on things where things are a little over the top. But man, what an amazing movie if you've never seen it. Okay. I'm speeding along here because I had a little break in the action, I think. YouTube got a little crazy on me. So I want to wing right here and go to my last movie that I really want to talk about. And this is going to be my favorite of all three. Okay. As much as I love Master Killer, and by the way, Master Killer, aka 36 Chambers of Shaolin, is the movie that got me interested in martial arts, kung fu in general, and I mainly started to think more kung fu than karate or other arts or genres of art, but also about the 3-section staff. It's the first time I fell in love with that weapon, seeing its many uses in it being a defensive and offensive weapon at the same time. That being said, when I finally saw Heroes of the East, aka Shaolin versus Ninja, this movie came out in late 1978, starring Gordon Liu, much different character. And he basically has to go up against Japanese martial artists because he gets married to a Japanese warrior woman from a different clan in Japan. And they quarrel basically about the strengths and weaknesses of the Chinese martial arts versus the Japanese martial arts. It basically becomes a family quarrel. His wife goes back to Japan because she feels insulted. And because of that, she comes back with some Japanese warriors that were part of her original Japanese clan, and they each fight Gordon Liu's character. So Gordon Liu, over the period of I think it's 5 days, fights 4 or 5 different warriors. Each one has its own specialty in martial arts, and one of the main I don't want to call them villains, but one of the main adversaries here is, I'll show you right here.
学的是日本武术之中的忍术，这几位全是日本各种武术的高手。
One of his main adversaries here, which he fights at the end. So I think it's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's 6 warriors at the end that he fights, Japanese warriors. And the very last one is a master of ninjutsu. And yes, if that guy looks familiar to you, he should, because you guessed it right. That is Yusuke Karata, who plays the main adversary. Okay, Yusuke Karata, for those that don't know, if he looks familiar, he should, because he is Jet Li's not main adversary, but one of his biggest adversaries in Fist of Legend. The Fist of Legend, the retelling of course, Bruce Lee's Fist of Fury, aka Chinese Connection, depending on if you know the English titles or not. But either way, the revenge story. And in it, Jet Li fights Yusuke Karata, and they have a very amazing fight. They get blindfolded a little bit, and they go head to head. I'll show you a little bit of this because most people know this fight and have seen this fight. Here's another movie. If you've never seen Fist of Legend, I highly recommend you go and check it out. And yes, it is a retelling of the Bruce Lee Fist of Fury, but with a few twists and changes. But for the most part, Jet Li is now playing the main student who comes back and seeks revenge for his teacher who gets killed under nefarious circumstances in the movie. But anyway, Yusuke Karata, our main instructor or adversary in this movie, is also our main adversary here in the movie Heroes of the East.
从日本应战而来，应战。
So at first they think there's a misconception, and just basically there's a misunderstanding, I should say, that Gordon Liu's character posed a challenge, and he didn't. But he was kind of jokingly telling his wife at the time, hey, Chinese martial arts are better than Japanese martial arts, and this is why. And he kind of wrote it down, and as you see there, but he didn't really issue a real challenge. But anyway, the Japanese warriors take it as a challenge, and they come on back to China and say, hey, man up, like, come see us. Here we are. So anyway, I would think one of the first challenges he has is against sword on sword, which it is. Okay, so this is sword on sword. You've got a Japanese katana versus a Chinese gim or gim. That's what you got here. Now, my only issue with this fight, choreography is very good. And Lao Gaolong, Master Lao Gaolong, for people that are aware, very famous director, directed a lot of Shaw Brothers movies in general. He choreographed a lot of these fights. My only gripe with this particular fight, as cool as it is, a Chinese game is made of different material. A Japanese katana is very, very strong and very, very sharp. I really don't think in real life a Japanese katana or a Chinese game straight sword would be able to go head to head with Japanese katana. Literally, the katana would slice. It's a two-handed sword versus a one-handed sword. The strength of the sword alone and the steel, I think it would slice right through a Chinese game. And I've used many games in practice with the weapon, and I love the weapon. But katana versus game, it's not the same. It's not an equal fight. It's basically apples and oranges type of fight. So anyway, the fights go on. He fights a Japanese swordsman specialist, and then he fights. This is one of my favorite fights, and props to Lao Gaolong once again, who actually did some of the spinning in this fight here. The spin that's seen here, that's actually Lao Gaolong doing the spins, and then it cuts to Gordon Liu's character. Apologies here on the quality. So it's 3-section staff versus a Bruce Lee lookalike. Yes, and your eyes aren't deceiving you. This guy's got nunchucks, and he's got I think a wooden staff with him as well. So 2 weapons versus 1. Yeah. So as they go, they fight, and you see it's like the 3-section versus the nunchaku versus the staff here. And it really is funny because I think the guy does like the whole Bruce Lee thing. Let's see, hold on. Yeah, all the whoa! So this was 5 years after Bruce Lee had died, but the Bruce Lee craze was still going on. So they fight. And this fight is actually noteworthy because in some of the English releases, I believe when this came out, they took this scene, this whole fight scene out of the movie. Reason being where nunchucks were actually illegal in the US for a while and illegal even abroad in some places. So they took this fight scene completely out of the movie. And if you go to some regions back in the day, this was removed. It's since been replaced. And I think, now, even when I bought this on Dragon Dynasty, this fight's been put back in. But really cool just watching this and watching again the practicality or the many uses of the 3-section staff versus just it being this offensive thing. And when you see people demoing it, it's very, very flashy, very difficult weapon to use, but also to see its uses, because it's an offense and a defensive weapon at the same time. And that's what I've always found amazing about it, which is why I gravitated towards that particular weapon when I started learning weapons. I love this weapon still to this day. It's one of my favorite weapons to practice. And it takes a minute to master. So in this fight, they really, truly show, unlike, and I'm going to give no disrespect to Master Killer, aka 36 Chambers of Shaolin, they really show you so many aspects of the staff and how it's used in various ways. A lot more so both in the flashy ways and the not so flashy ways here versus the Master Killer fights. You got a lot more spinning going on, a lot of things that we see like when we demo the staff, how that's used in a fight structure. And I really appreciated that because all the spins and stuff, it's like, oh, that's how I would actually use this thing if I were to go one-on-one with somebody. And sorry, this weapon's a crutch that the Japanese guy has, the Bruce Lee lookalike. I forgot. It's a crutch versus nunchuck as I look. The quality is so bad here on this video. I apologize for that. And he does disarm him. And there you go. So that spin is Lao Gaolong actually doing the spinning. And you're going to ask me, how do I know that? Well, if you watch the movie on Dragon Dynasty, and by the way, I must have rewound this fight so many times when I first saw this thing, like a million times, just rewatching all the moves. Because I was 3-section staff obsessed for so many years when I was learning the weapon and just really getting good at at using it, I would watch certain moves and try to emulate them. So I rewatched this fight scene so many times. This particular spin, though, is actually Lo Gong Long spinning the staff. So you can't see Gordon Liu's face, and there's a reason why. They cut in between these two because that's not Gordon Liu. That's Gordon Liu. And how do I know this? I was going to say, because on the Dragon Dynasty release, Bay Logan does a really good job of narrating this thing, or I should say, talking about the movie behind the scenes, and he gave up that behind the scenes information. So that's how I knew that. But yeah, in this part, you see he disarms the Bruce Lee lookalike. He takes away his crutch, and then when it's just the nunchucks, he basically the staff is too long, so he can't reach him. So that basically fight over. Final fight though, which is like the big deal. He finally fights the Yusakai Karata's character. And remember, he's a master of ninjutsu. So they go at it in the final fight, and Yusakai Karata's character is a ninja, but he also has this style. He calls it the crab style, which is basically bullshit because there's no such thing as a crab style. They made it up for the movie, but it's so much fun to watch. And they go head to head, going at it with this, this hand style. There's a lot of trickery that happens. Yusakai Karata's character starts throwing smoke bombs and things like that. And, he's using all this ninjutsu chicanery and trickery to mess with Gordon Liu. And in the end, Gordon Liu's character is victorious. But the caveat with the movie, and I think the reason why the movie's so great, not just because of the martial arts, but because it's very unique in the fact it's one of the very few Shaw Brothers movies where there's no blood drawn at all. If you watch this movie from beginning to end, there's not a lot of, in fact, there's no blood drawn in the movie at all. There's nobody that gets stabbed, killed. Nobody's killed in the movie. And the Japanese characters aren't portrayed like they're just the villains and the Chinese characters the hero. It's more about misunderstandings of the two cultures and how they all end up seeing eye to eye at the end of the movie. So a misunderstanding leads them all to become, more familiar with each other. And in the end, it's such a great theme in the movie. So props to the directors. Lo Galang directed the movie and also did a lot of the fight choreography. And it's one of those great ones. It's one of my favorite Gordon Liu movies. This one and Master Killer are probably my two favorite, then followed by the 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, which I talked about. So once again, happy birthday, Lo Galang. Happy birthday, Lo Galang. Sorry, rest in peace, Lo Galang. But happy birthday to Gordon Liu. Once again, my man's turning 73. Want to give him all of his props while he's still around. I know he's not in the best of health these days, but I definitely wanted to give him his props. And want to give you guys your props for hanging in with me tonight. Forgive the technical difficulties. Sometimes it's like that with YouTube, just trying to navigate around here and figure out how to do these lives and do it in the best possible way. Showing you some clips, but I know I can't show them as long. So that's what happened, I think, with that one. One of my clips ran a little too long, so I think it shut down the stream for half a second. But we're back in effect. And if you like the stream, let me know. Leave me your comments. Let's see. What is the name of this movie at 8:07? Oh, the name of the movie is called Heroes of the East. So that's the name of the movie that I just showed. It's either Heroes of the East, or you can look it up as Ninja versus Shaolin. But Heroes of the East is the name that's commonly known. Gordon Liu, Yusakai Karata, many other names in that 1978 movie from the Shaw Brothers collection. So go ahead and pick that up. If you've never seen it, like I said, one of my favorite Shaw Brothers movie starring Gordon Liu. So go out and grab that if you can. Yes, and salute to everybody. Salute to you, sir. Salute to everybody that was part of the stream tonight. We're going to do this again next week, back on track. Again, Saturdays, not Sundays. Tonight's a special night, Sunday. But Saturday next week, we're going to do this 6:30 p.m. Tune in right back here, guys, and leave me your comments. And of course, anything else you'd like to see, let me know either via email or through the chat. You can do that. I'll go ahead and put up let's see. I will go ahead and give you guys real quick some my info here so everybody can reach me. So next week, that if you have particular questions or whatever, and we might actually go through just a few questions that I've gotten already in the mail and both on comments on videos and things like that. So then that way I can share things with you guys that way. But yes, there we go. Sorry, I was looking for this. Here's my banner. Yes, there we go. So there's all my info down below. You can reach me one of those ways, either through my Gmail down there or on IG. I have all my social links and everything. So if you questions, you got comments, let me know. Let me know. A little bit of a rush stream tonight, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We'll do this again next week. And again, don't forget, check in on the channel. Some new videos up there. I'm sure you guys are going to like, both shorts and regular videos recapping Dragon Fest 2024. My new video coming out very soon. Interview with Master Philip Ree and Master Simon Ree from Best of the Best fame. Check out that video, dropping very, very soon as well. So a lot to be on the lookout for, guys. Let me know what some of your favorite things are, and we will talk to you guys next week. Stay safe. See you all in the next round. Keep punching. Happy weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and Sunday or whatever part of the week it is for you guys. Peace.